Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe. Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadramaya. Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिविजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद अवैचारण अरविंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य बीपीटी फाउंडर आचार्य जगतगुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री श्री राधा गोपीनाथ भगवान की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna. Welcome to today's Bhagavatam class. On this auspicious occasion of the new year. Today we are discussing from Canto 2, Chapter 10. Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions, and verse 23. Vastuno mridu katinya. Vastuno mridu katinya. Lagu guru osanas sitatam. Lagu guru oshanasi tatam. Jigrikshatastvan nirbinna. Jigrikshatastvan nirbinna. Tashyam roma mahiruha. Tashyam roma mahiruha. Tatra chantar bahirvatas. Tatra chantar bahirvatas. Tvacha labda guru vrata. Tvacha labda guno vrata. Vastuno mridu katinya. Lagu guru oshnasi tatam. Jigrikshatastvan nirbinna. Tashyam roma mahiruha. Tatra chantar bahirvatas. Tvacha labda gunovrata. Vastuno mridu katinyam. Lagu guru oshnasi tatam. Jigrikshatastvan nirbinam. Tashyam roma mahiruham. Tatra chantar bahirvatas. Tvacha labda guru vritaham. Vastuna of all matter. Mridu, softness. Katinya, hardness. Lagu, lightness. Guru, heaviness. Oshna, warmness. Sitatam, coldness. Jigrikshata, desiring to perceive. Tvak, the touch sensation. Nirbinna, distributed. Tashyam, in the skin. Roma, hairs on the body. Mahiruham, as well as the trees, the controlling deities. Tatra, there. Cha, also. Antaha, within. Bahi, outside. Vata tvacha, the sense of touch or the skin. Labda, having been perceived. Gunaha, objects of sense perception. Vrataha, generated. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation: when there was a desire to perceive the physical characteristics of matter, such as softness, hardness, warmth, coldness, lightness, and heaviness, the background of sensation, the skin pores, the hairs on the body, and their controlling deities, the trees, were generated. Within and outside the skin is a covering of air through which sense perception became prominent. Purport: the physical characteristics of matter, such as softness, are subjects of sense perception, and thus physical knowledge is the subject matter of the touch sensation. One can measure the temperature of matter by touching with the hand. One can measure the weight of an object by lifting it with the hand, and thus estimate its heaviness and lightness. The skin pores, the hairs on the body are all interdependent with the touch sensation. The air blowing within and outside the skin is also an object of sense perception. This sense perception is also a source of knowledge, and therefore it is suggested here that physical or physiological knowledge is subordinate to the knowledge of the self. As above mentioned, knowledge of self can knowledge of self can expand to the knowledge of phenomena, but physical knowledge cannot lead to knowledge of the self. There is, however, an intimate relation between the hairs on the body and the vegetation on the body of the earth. The vegetables are nourishment for the skin, both as food and medicine. As stated in the third canto, Tvacham Asya Vinirbinnam Vivishur Dishnyam Oshadi. Let's recite Mangalacharan. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stabitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahana Raghunathan Vitantam Sachivam Sadvaitam Savatotam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I humbly request the devotees to bless me so that I can serve Srimad Bhagavatam through my thoughts, words and deeds. Today we are still in the same chapter as last week, and this chapter is describing about the Sarga, the primary creation. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna states in the Chaturshloki of Gita, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Matas Sarvam Pravartate iti matva bhajante mam Buddha Bhava Samanvitaha. Krishna says that I am the cause of all causes, I am the source of all sources, and I am the origin of all origins. So this chapter is nothing but the elaboration of that particular verse, we can, in one sense, because he's establishing the creative principle throughout this whole chapter this way. So, and Prabhupada goes on this verse, especially talks about the skin, which is one of the most prominent sense, which is located all throughout our body. If we understand that the skin is skin plays a mighty role throughout the whole body, that it acts as an element of protection for all other senses, all other karmendriyas and jnanendriyas. For example, we have our legs, we have our eyes, nose, ears. Everything is covered by sense in one sense. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also, like, the lust is situated in 3 places, and one of the places which he mentions is the senses also. Lust is also situated in the senses, and we can understand, like, lust is also situated all throughout the body in this sense. And skin, Prabhupada mentions there are 3 vital aspects of the skin. One is to perceive the temperature, another one is to perceive the texture, and another one is to perceive the thickness or heaviness. So temperature, in the sense, it is used to perceive the heat and cold, temperature of physical characteristics of heat and cold, and texture, in the sense, it is used to perceive the roughness or softness of any object, and thickness, in the sense, it is used to understand the heaviness and lightness of any object. Interestingly, Prabhupada also mentions a beautiful point that knowledge of the self can expand to the knowledge of phenomena, which means if someone tries to understand the knowledge of the soul, it can eventually lead to the knowledge of physical characteristics. Whereas if somebody tries to understand the physical characteristics of matter, he may not come to the point of understanding the soul. That's what's happening currently, as we could see that the scientists were trying to understand using the bottom-up approach of going to, like, they are trying to understand the physical characteristics of matter. But they never come to the conclusion of the existence of the soul. But Krishna, like, begins Bhagavad Gita with the knowledge of the soul to Arjuna, and eventually he reveals about the whole universe, like how about how he is the cause, like he reveals his Virat Rupa also. So in this way, if someone tries to understand the nature of the soul, eventually he will come to the he will also receive the knowledge of the physical matter, which is in a gross level. So, but someone who tries to understand the knowledge in a bottom-up approach from matter, he may not come to the conclusion of the soul. And another aspect of the skin is skin tone, as we could see that currently there is a big propaganda about black metal lives. There is a skin tone, like people generally identify others based upon their skin tone. They define the beauty based upon the skin tone. And in this connection, I saw a video about one of Srila Prabhupada. His name is Abhilash Das. He's a devotee of Srila Prabhupada, and he belongs to an African American family. His family is an African origin. They migrated to America. So these African Americans, considering that they have been these African Americans, considering that the abuse happened to the black people in America, they were skeptical about the white people. And during this time, Prabhupada, when established ISKCON in America, this devotee, he is a young boy of 10 years old, and he was going to his school, and eventually he came into contact with devotees, and he started going to temple without the knowledge of his parents. And during the weekends, he would go to the temple, he will bring prasad to his family members, and they would say, like, and at one point of time, he asked, I would like to join the temple, which means he's a 10-year-old boy, and he wanted to join the temple. And his parents, and these people are white people, because those hippies are white people, and they were worshipping Krishna. They established the temple of Radha Krishna deities there, and they were worshipping. And this devotee, he wanted to, as a young boy, he approached his parents and expressed his desire to join the temple. And his mother and father, they were skeptical about, no, they are white people, and considering the abuse which happened to our community, we may not be able to we won't agree with that decision. But this devotee convinced his father. The way he narrates this is very interesting. That he says, "Father, do you know that God is black?" Yes, that's what I am talking about. These people, these white people, they are worshipping God who is black in color. As we know, Shamam Trimbakam Lalitam, Krishna has the color of nimbus cloud. So, and their family members got surprised, and they wanted to visit the temple, witnessed it by their own eyes, and almost dozens of family members visited the temple during the weekend. And to their surprise, of course, God is black. And the devotee says, yes, you can, like the parents told, yes, God is our brother, God is black, and he's also musical, so you can join the temple. So that's how it is. Krishna consciousness gives solution, in this way Krishna consciousness gives solution to all the problems that exist in the world. And another aspect of skin is skin has an intimate connection to trees also, Prabhupada says. For example, Prabhupada established this concept of applying sandalwood pulp through the body. Like sometimes before Bhavadam class, when Prabhupada was there, one of the service of a devotee is to apply sandalwood pulp during the summer season, because if you apply sandalwood pulp, then the effect of sandalwood is to reduce the heat generated, to reduce the headache generated because of the heat or high temperature of the environment. And there is another aspect which Prabhupada speaks in Bhagavad Gita. It's an interesting aspect, that is something called a skin disease, which is called Karpanya Dosho Bhagata Svabhava. When Arjuna was put into illusion, in the purport, Prabhupada says Karpanya Dosha means one who has attached to family, friends and relatives based on a bodily conception. Again, it should not be understood with the attachment to family members who are devotees. So, if somebody is attached to one's family member because he's a devotee, that is a spiritual emotion. But if somebody is attached to a family member who is not a devotee, only based on bodily connection, then it's still a material emotion. It cannot come under a spiritual emotion. And Krishna also uses this strategy of Karpanya Dosa, this skin disease, to put Arjuna into illusion also in the first chapter. As we could see that when Arjuna asked Krishna, "Oh Krishna, I want to see the opponents in the battlefield. Can you bring the chariot draw the chariot in the middle of the battlefield?" Krishna interestingly draws the chariot right in front of Drona and Bhishma, rather than and he also says, like, Bhishma Drona Pramukata Sarvesham Cha Mahikshitam Vacha Partha Pashaitam Samavetan Kurunati. In this way, Krishna utters a word, "Oh Partha, just look at the Kurus who are assembled here, assembled here." Just by saying the word Kuru, all the Kurus are assembled here, like he induces the bodily conception of Arjuna. See, all your relatives are assembled here. So far, like Arjuna wanted to see his enemies. As soon as Krishna says all the Kurus are assembled here, see, like Arjuna starts looking at them as his relatives, and he started putting forward arguments in order to not to fight. And Krishna, especially in front of Drona and Bhishma, who are very dear to him. And also in the second chapter, Arjuna confirms that it's, "Oh Krishna, you are the one who put me into illusion by saying that how can I fight with mighty warriors like Arjuna, like Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of my worship." So in this way, Krishna also uses the tendency of skin disease to put Arjuna into illusion. Of course, I remember once I was distributing books in India, and one of the devotee read Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada was saying, mentioning that, I'm not sure about the lecture, it's in a lecture or one of the purports of Srila Prabhupada. He told, Prabhupada was mentioning only Sudras will take birth in a dark complexion. As we could see that in the pastime of Kali, like Parikshit Maharaj receives the age of Kali. Kali Purus has a skin tone of dark complexion. So he was feeling sorry that I have a dark skin tone because I'm a Sudra. But actually, these bodily differences does not apply to a devotee, as it is mentioned in the Nectar of Instruction, verse 6. Dristai swabhava janite opusascha dose na prakritatvam iha bhakta janasya bhakte pashyet gangam basham nakalu bhutapena panke brahmadravatvam apagachati nira dharmair. Just like Ganges water sometimes may appear to be like filled with mud, foam, and dirt, that doesn't mean the Ganges is contaminated. It loses its potency it loses its spiritual potency. Similarly, a devotee who is constantly engaged in devotional service may still have a body which is like may have a deformed body or a body born in a low family, but one should overlook this material vision and should see the devotee as a spiritual personality rather than a material, rather than keeping a material vision towards him. Yeah, and one more point which I had a discussion with Sriman Aravind Prabhu once. Prabhu, is this the skin appears to be interesting sense organ, whether it is a sense object or sense organ? I asked him. He answered it is both. Actually, simultaneously, sometimes people, like when we look at the skin of other person, we will get attracted. So in this way, like skin is also a sense object, and simultaneously, skin is also a sense organ, which we use to perceive the physical characteristics of objects. Also, this connection, there is a story in Ramayana where one of the great descendant of Ishwaku dynasty is the king named Trishanku. This king was such a pious king, and he performed a lot of pious activities. And as we know that the Kulaguru of the Ishwaku dynasty is Vashishta Muni. And this king is also so victorious, so chivalrous, and at the same time he was so handsome and beautiful looking. He performed a lot of pious activities, but the king was so much attached to his own body, his own material form. And he wanted to go to heaven with the self-same body, which means he was attached to his own body, and he was also afraid of death. He don't want to die to go back to heaven. But according to the laws of nature, if at all one has to become a resident of other heavenly planets or hellish planets, one has to change his body. Just like Prabhupada says, if somebody wants to live in water, he has to possess a water body. Similarly, someone who wants to live like that of a fish. Similarly, someone wants to live in a earth like sun, he has to have a fiery body. So, but this king was afraid of death. At the same time, he was attached to his attractive, handsome body. So he approached Vashishta Muni and asked him, "Oh great sage, you are so powerful. Can you help me? I have this desire to go to heaven with the self-same body. Can you help me by performing an yajna, so that with your purity you can send me to heaven without myself having go through the process of death." But Vashishta Muni, being an intelligent and experienced sage, he refused. "Oh king, how come this kind of desire came into you? Please give up this desire and start performing pious activities. Eventually, if you live a pious birth, eventually you will give up your body, you will get a better body, and you will live in heaven." The king temporarily agreed. Okay, then he didn't argue back, and he went back and stayed. But he couldn't give up this desire of going to heaven with the self-same body. After some time, he went and approached. He was trying to find some other means to achieve his desire. So he went and approached the sons of Vashishta Muni. And when he approached the sons of Vashishta Muni, he told, "I approached your father and I presented my desire, but he refused to fulfill it. But you guys are trained by your own father, and you are much if you fulfill this desire, you can prove yourself much more greater than your father also, much more better than your father." Hearing this, the sons of Vashishta, they got angry. How dare you can disrespect your father like this, and how can you disobey his instruction of giving up this desire, but still you are holding on to it. So they got angry, they cursed the king to become a Chandala, which means his whole attractive body becomes unattractive, which means his whole body he lost the splendor of his body. And then they cursed, and everyone in the kingdom will throw you out of the kingdom. That's what happened eventually. Then when the king went back with the body of a Chandala, he was kicked out of the kingdom, and he started roaming into the forest, but still he couldn't give up this desire of going to heaven without having to die. So in the course of his roaming into the forest, he approached the sage Vishwamitra, and he knows the rivalry between, there is a enmity between Vishwamitra and Vasishtha. So he tricked Vishwamitra by saying like, see, Vasishtha could not perform this yajna. Can you perform this yajna so that I can go back to heaven, go to heaven without changing my body? And Vasishtha has this desire to prove that he is much more. Vishwamitra has this desire to prove that he is much more better than Vasishtha. So he told like, okay, I will fulfill your desire. And then he started performing in yajna, invoking the demigods. But demigod being cognizant of the desire of the sage, they didn't reciprocated with Vishwamitra, and they didn't appear for this yajna when they were invoked by Vishwamitra. And Vishwamitra understood that the demigods are not reciprocating. So he used his mystic power, because he being an ascetic, he acquired a lot of mystic powers. So using his mystic power, he he uplifted Trishanku towards the Swargaloka, and Trishanku started moving towards Swargaloka. And when Indra witnessed this, like some unauthorized object is approaching his planet, he pushed him back. And that's in this way, like both Vishwamitra and Indra were playing tennis with Trishanku, and Trishanku was going up and going down, going up and going down. And then at one point he got so fed up. Oh, Vishwamitra, please leave me at least. But Vishwamitra gave his word to Trishanku, so I will get you to heaven. So what he did is he started creating his own Swargaloka, which is called Trishanku Swarga eventually. So he started doing additional secondary creation on top of Brahma's creation. So he replicated Indraloka, which is much more magnificent than the present Indraloka also. And he situated Trishanku in that new Swarga on the southern part of the universe. And then after creating it, one interesting thing happened. It is possible for us to create, but it is not. Like we may have the potency to create, but we may not have the potency to maintain. That's what happened in the case of Vishwamitra also. As soon as he created the Trishanku Swargaloka, the planet starts moving hither and thither rather than staying in the orbit. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Gama Vishyacha Bhutani Dharyami Ahamojasa, which means I enter into each and every planet, and because of my energy they are sustaining in the orbit. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. And since the sage has already exhausted his pious credits, the planets start moving hither and thither, and it started hitting other planets also. Sometimes it comes and hits even Vishwamitra also. So he couldn't control the movement of the planet, and he got into anxiety, and he started fervently praying to the Supreme Lord by offering like choice prayers from the Vedas with so much anxiety. And Vishnu being merciful, he appeared in front of Vasishtha Muni, and he understood the situation, and he put the planet into orbit, and he advised Vishwamitra, please don't be distracted by the whimsical desires of others. Be focused in what you are doing. So in this way, he got the association of Vishnu, and he got purified, and eventually he became successful in his endeavor to become a Brahma Rishi. So the point here is, Yeah, I related this story because like this we are creating about the creation, the cosmic manifestation. So how the when we create something, we may not live to maintain our own creation. We may not have the energy to maintain our own creation. For example, we may build a house, but we may not live long enough to enjoy the house also. At one point of time, we have to give up the house and give up our body, leave the body, and have to take a birth in some other family or some other community. And interestingly, the skin also plays a vital role. Like if you see that a child, when a child takes birth, that child has a tender, soft skin, and when the child grows up, it becomes a young man. It has a rough and like strong skin. And the same person, when he becomes old, he will have a loose and detached skin. As Adi Sankaracharya says, Angam Galitam Palitam Mundam Jata Vikinaha Jatagatundam, which means Angam Galitam, the skins will start melting, which means they will start, the skin will start detached from the muscles and he will start hanging in our body. So if we don't cultivate renunciation, our body will renounce the skin will renounce the body. That's how it is arranged. So that is what I would like to I wanted to share today. Thank you. Is there any comments or corrections? Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jai. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhu.